life in the line can be extremely loud. We're often told to exercise certain practices to conserve our hearing. Do these practices actually get used? And what are some ways we can actually help improve them? This is Tinnitus has a nice ring to it.
Tinnitus has a nice ring to it. I wasn't expecting that. All I could think of was that show Archer, where he's holding his ear, mop, mop, mop.
Mine's like that meme where it goes like, no, absolutely nobody in my ears. Yeah.
Yeah. That happened to me. I think on Tuesday. I was kind of walking around the hangar, and it just all of a sudden I was kind of loud in the hangar or whatever else, and then I go back into the office there, and then just wee. I was like, that's going to be annoying for a while.
Right. For me, like, I hear the noise worst when it's dead quiet, right? Or it's like next to quiet. Like if people are just like whispering in a room, or they're just having like casual talking, it's blaring loud as day in my right ear, especially. Just like that, the most annoying noise in the world. And it's like a fly or a mosquito is just like flying past your ear, and it never goes away. Like, oh.
So your right ear hears very well, but the left ear is not so good?
Vice versa. My left ear hears pretty good, but my right ear is like total trash.
Interesting.
I mean, both.
Say for me, like the kids will have the TV up pretty loud.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really loud to me in my my right ear.
Mm-hmm.
The left ear's kind of deaf to it. But then what's crazy is like if other people are home, I can't hone in on the TV. Like I hear, it's weird, like the certain frequency ranges or whatever, I hear other things in the house over the TV. But if nobody else is home and like there's not other things going on, I can hear the TV at a lower setting, but it's at the same setting, right? When everybody else is home, I can't pick up that frequency. There's too much else going on. It's really strange.
I think I know what you're talking about. Myself, I have like really bad, I guess you would call it peripheral hearing. I don't know if that's the thing, but if someone
heard of it,
well, I'm quoting this. I'm like giving it a name, but it's pretty much like I can't hear where something's coming from if it's on my right hand side, right? Like,
oh yeah, you can't hone in on the location of it. Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, I just say peripheral hearing because it's kind of like peripheral vision, where like I see to the side without actually like looking for it. But it's the same with like hearing. Like if you're in a certain angle or a certain distance from me, I can't tell where you are unless like you're like damn near within arm's reach of me.
Go ahead, sorry.
And that kind of plays into my whatever that sense is where you feel like someone's near you. Like,
oh yeah, like a spidey sense almost.
Yeah. So like that really fucks me up because I feel you're there, but I can't hear shit.
So I kind of know what you mean. I have times where I'll hear a sound and I'll think it'll be on my left hand side behind me, but it's actually right hand forward. So I can't locate where that sound's pinging from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I can't. I know what you're saying in that sense.
Right. And on that note, hearing loss. And a lot when you're working on the flight line or anything aviation, almost everything you work on aviation has some kind of like high either high frequency or high exposure rate of some form of a loud noise. And like almost all aspects of your life is dealing with these loud noises, from ground support equipment running, aircraft engines running, that high pitch whining noises from electronics equipment. I can't even tell you what those are, but
there's the little cooling fans since in the avionics bays, cooling the electronics equipment. Those run at a pretty high frequency.
Right. Yeah.
There's also like your hydro packs and all that stuff. When you kick on your hydraulic system, those power packs, man, those things those things whine excessively high.
Right. Yeah. So it's almost like a rock concert consistently for like 8, 10, 12 hours, however many hours your shift is. And a lot of people, a lot of individuals will say like, oh, you know, as long as you don't hit this decibel level, that your hearing will be fine. It's like, yeah, sure, but we're also talking about exposure rate. Like, how long are you hearing that sound? Like, if some, like for instance, if I put a gun by your ears and I blow and I pop it off, your hearing is like done instantly because it exceeded that max threshold level to injure yourself. But
yeah, and I think we've all, well, at least for you and I, we've all experienced gunfire with no hearing protection.
yes, and I will tell you all that sucked. And I would equate that said gunshot with no hearing protection to you like putting your ear just shy of the engine as it freaking just goes full ham into full throttle. And that's pretty much what it feels like. And you will lose your hearing like instantly. But
yeah, I think I've had, since I was a little kid, I was born kind of with bad ears, so it wasn't set up for the best anyways. And I've had ear tubes, 7 sets of ear tubes put in. They've been put in, they fell out, put in, fell out, put in. So seven sets, and the last one fell out of my left ear when I was on a deployment in like 2013, 2014 time frame, somewhere in there, I think 2013. But anyhow, you know, I on a deployment, I was pretty close to a pretty big explosion at one point. I think it was like VBID, car bomb went off, and man, that was literally one of those where it was like I was so close that you felt the percussive waves.
Yep.
From the blast. But yeah, it was that like they show in the movies, that everything kind of blurs and that high pitched squealing sound. Yeah, and that was that, man. For like 3 days, my ears squealed.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. Exactly. And those of you who've went through something like that know exactly what I mean. It's like this is incessant screaming that happens in your ear and it just won't turn off for no freaking reason. And it gets to the point where like you start losing your balance because it's so loud, even though like that actual sound happened like some time ago. But
yeah, it's like when if you have a dog, right? Dogs have real sensitive hearing, but if a firework goes off pretty close to them, and you'll see them like they'll be shaking their head, they'll kind of squint their eyes and they'll shake their head like they're trying to shake something out of their ears. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I was doing the same movement. Like I'd be walking around, I would just kind of do a real quick head shake motion, like just to, I don't know, try to shake the squealing away. I don't really know what I was doing, but it was like an impulsive movement. I couldn't control it.
Right. Yes, exactly that too. And on the shorter end of this, right, like, or the opposite side of this, like whispering, for instance, is like, I don't know, or just casual talking is probably like, I don't know, like 15, 20 decibels or something like that. That could actually make you go deaf if you're exposed to it for a long enough time, right? Or like listening to with your earbuds in at like 50% for more than 8 hours or something like that. That could actually make you go deaf too. So we hear a lot of these practices and exercises that you see posters almost everywhere that allowed sound or exposure to noise hazards would be at. And it'll say double hearing protection, wear your Mickey Mouse ears, wear your ear cups, whatever, or follow OSHA or something along the lines of like, you need to protect your ears.
And I'm glad you brought up the double hearing protection thing, because I was going to bring that up. For those that don't know, right? Oh, I can just put the earplugs in my ears and that'll be fine, or I can just wear the earmuffs and that'll be fine. Well, it's definitely better than nothing, but if you can and have both available, wear them both. Yes, because you'll just do yourself such a favor for later down the road.
Absolutely, and I'm raising my hand in this because I didn't.
Not me either. None of us did.
Right,
especially being on deployment.
Right. And a lot of this either because we didn't have one or the other, for one.
Yeah.
Or two.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, oftentimes we didn't have them. They didn't show up, and you're like, and so you're standing out there trying to launch the aircraft, and because you got to hear the radio, so you got your radio in one hand pressed up to your ear so you can hear it, and then you got your finger stuck in the other ear just to try to help.
Yes. And I think that kind of ties into why most people don't do double hearing is because they got to have some kind of hearing or enough hearing to understand or have a conversation with the person next to them with all the loud noises going on. Like, I can't hear the radio like you mentioned with double hearing protection, or I can't hear the intercom with double hearing protection. So it's like one or the other, and then it gets to a point where your hearing's already screwed up anyway. So you're just like, well, I can't hear it anyway, so I'll just not wear my hearing protection. Period, and just making it worse.
Yeah, and so our listeners might be saying, "What a bunch of dummies these guys are! Why not just get the earmuffs that have the built-in headsets to them, so you can be standing literally under an engine while it's running at full power and have a conversation at normal talking volume?" Well, that's great, says I, and I've used those before, and they were wonderful. But go ahead and tell Uncle Sam to send those to me in Afghanistan. Like, he's not gonna do it because he don't give a shit about me.
Right. Or some of those hearing, those noise canceling, air quote noise canceling ones, is over time they fail, or they run out of batteries, or they dry rot. Whatever the internals that make them work, they only last so long in an environment as fast paced as a flight line, and especially if you like you only get so many of these every so many supply runs. So you take them off, you throw them down, you put them up, or you treat them just like any other piece of gear, and then they over time wear out and they don't work as great, or they don't they only block out certain frequencies, and then by that time your hearing's already screwed up anyway. So like, well, screw it. Like, it's either I get the $700 headset or I take the $50 earmuffs from Wish or some shit like that.
Wish.
Right? And slap those on. Or I just get the earplugs and just pop them in. Whichever, my hearing's already screwed, so I can't hear it anyway. I'm just the earplugs are more for show at this point.
Yeah, so after the first couple of deployments and stuff, and yes, it took a couple because I'm a slow learner, but I would go to like Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever, and I'd buy the contractor's size container with just 1,000 earplugs in it or whatever else.
Right.
I'd buy a couple of those and I'd take them on the road with me, and then I'd put them overseas just so all of us who were there could use them,
Oh, that's
and all of us, we wouldn't waste them day in and day out. I mean, we'd keep them and wear them for as long as we could, multiple days and weeks, whatever the case was, until they either got just disgusting from your fingers, rolling them up and shoving them in your ears, to being coated with earwax, to I pulled a tool out of my pocket and it fell out with it, and now I lost it. And you're saying, but that's FOD. Not in a deployed environment. It's not even really give a damn about FOD over there.
There's worse things over there.
There's worse things over there than FOD, friend.
Right. Now, in a commercial environment, that's death. Like you lose anything, like you're done. Like you're screwed. Like you're gonna be out there forever trying to find that thing, or you're gonna drag another shift into it to come find it. Now, some people might be asking, like, well, don't they give you guys hearing tests to see just how bad your hearing is so they can adjust accordingly? Sure.
Yeah, let's go with that. Why not?
Sure they do. Now, it is required for environments or occupations like that they give you a hearing test at least once a year. Ask me how many times I failed.
Yeah, not a one. Can you hear this? No. And they crank up the volume. How about now? Yeah. Oh, okay. You're good. You passed. Wait a minute. What was the last setting? That was, that's what good hearing should have been. What setting did I pass on? Well, a little bit further and you'd have to have hearing aids. Cool, but I still passed. Awesome. Just like great.
Yeah. And that's how it was for me. Like, after my first major hearing injury, let's say that hearing injury, they make me take a hearing test and I failed it miserably. And so instead of like saying that, hey, you should probably do this and that to kind of conserve what little hearing you have left, they just made me retake the test and they said, okay, this is your new normal.
Oh yeah, the new normal. Oh my god, yeah, I've heard that so many times.
I think what is it called? Rebaselining, I think is what they called it.
Yep.
So here's your new baseline. So if your hearing drops less than this, we know you have significant hearing loss. I'm like, but you guys are just gonna rebaseline it again anyway. Yeah. So now I have a new normal, which is like however many decibels lower or higher than my last one.
And then when Helen Keller levels of hearing, they'll just rebaseline it at that. Right. Can you hear this? No, I can't hear anything. Good. That's your new baseline. What?
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Doc.
Appreciate the help. Plus the hearing test they give you, like, it for the most part, I think a lot of them are automated, so you can almost time it when to know when the sounds are coming. So like you're gonna. I remember I took this one hearing test, and there would be a beep every 3 seconds. So I would just like count to 3, 1, 2, 3, beep, hit the button. 1, 2, 3, beep, hit the button. Now, in hindsight, 2020, that was probably the stupidest thing I've ever could have done, because now it just says like, "Oh, you're fine, you're great, you're awesome."
Yeah, cheated the system, but it's probably designed that way, really.
Right.
If you really think about it, it was probably designed that way. Like, these dumbasses, they're gonna click it after the third beep every time. We fooled them.
Right. And then so having learned that, I went to take another hearing test some years later to see just how bad my hearing really is, because I had that constant ringing in my ears. And when I took the hearing test, they had to stop it because they said, "Hey, you need to press the button whenever you hear a sound." And I said, "Sure, no problem. Once I hear a sound."
Yeah. Well,
so you didn't hear
we've
none
had
of those?
a sound like 6 times already. That's cool. I didn't hear a word. I didn't hear any one of them either.
Yeah. Like, I understood your instructions pretty clearly. So as soon as I hear a sound, I'll start pressing the button. Like, and like you said, like there's already been like 3 minutes worth of sound. Like, didn't hear not one of it.
Yeah, none of it. And actually, I was talking with my coworker the other day, right? And we're talking about hearing sounds, and he'll be in. He said him and his family, like, they'll be in the store, and some stores play music overhead or whatever. And he said he was in the store, and his wife started dancing. He's like, "Why are you dancing?" He goes, "Oh, I love this song." He was like, "There's a song playing?" Like, he couldn't hear it. You know what I mean? In the store, blew him away. He's like, "What song is it?" I don't remember what the song was, but he's like, "Oh my god, I can't hear any of that."
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah. So everyone listening, hearing conservation and hearing injuries. Now, what are some of the side effects or the repercussions of some of these hearing injuries?
Yeah, this stuff you kind of talked to me off air about, and I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe half the stuff you told me.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah. So,
but anyways, for our listeners, go ahead and explain that out. Sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. So, like what MVP was talking about is, yeah, you got the hearing loss or hearing issues, but your ears are actually tied to a lot of stuff within your body itself. And so if you have like significant hearing issues or some hearing loss, it could actually affect like you could actually get like some gut issues with this. Now, these are studies that are ongoing, and for the most part, it's proving that they are tied together. But if you have like really bad hearing problems, that could actually tie into having stomach problems like ab cramps or irritable bowel movements, and having those issues with your stomach could actually drive up your anxiety level, right? And that was mind blowing to me. Like,
well, the anxiety comes in because you have tinnitus and the shits, and you're not sure why. You can't figure out why one's tied to the other, so you get the anxiety from it.
Yep. Yeah. And then having anxiety is its own beast, right? And that we can dive into so many levels just with what anxiety can do to a person. And but that was just mind blowing to me. Like, so if I'm having hearing problems, that could actually tie into my stomach. Huh.
I wonder how though. Like, how I know I could Google it, whatever else, figure out and research, but just thinking out loud here, how is your ear system, your oral system, AURAL, tied to tied to your stomach. Like, if that's the case, I mean, that would make sense for a lot of things,
right?
at least for me personally. But I'm wondering how, like, oh, I got a little ringing today and an upset stomach, but I would have never tied the two together until you said that earlier.
Yeah, me neither. And again, I learned this from a doctor of mine, and he was saying like, here's some of the studies that kind of link them together, and like I never would have even remotely have guessed that. Like you said, like how does my tinnitus relate to me having diarrhea or having stomach problems?
Right, and so what about that causes stomach problems? Like, what about the bad hearing equates to, like, I'm just trying to equate the two systems together with what little biology knowledge I have, and I can't put them together. I don't know.
Same here. Like that's how mind blown I was. Like exactly what you're going through. That's how I felt. So if there's any listeners out there who have some kind of aviation medicine experience or expertise, please reach out to us and tell us like how did these two link together and why you have the issues that you do. Because that just blew my brain when I first heard that. I'm like, holy shit, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, it would make, again, for me personally, it would make sense, but I'm gonna really have to do some research on that, because that would be interesting. Yeah, so do you think, what's that, Crohn's, right? Crohn's is like an intestinal issue.
Yes.
I wonder if the study if Crohn's is directly related to those with, audible issues.
That'd be a good question.
Issues, whatever else. That'd be interesting. For our listeners out there too, the rest of you, any of you, most of you, I'm sure, are suffering from some sort of hearing loss. Do you guys have stomach issues as well? Like, I'm just out of curiosity, I'd just wonder what the number is.
Right.
If, most of our listeners come back and say, "Oh yeah, I'm deaf in my left ear and I'm shitting constantly," or something like that. Like, my God, you know what I mean?
Right. Or like you eat certain foods that normally wouldn't give you the runs, or you let me give you like some like bad gut movement, I guess. But it just does because reasons,
Or does it having that cause certain allergies, right? So like recently I've figured out that I have some sort of an allergic reaction to beer. I don't know if it's the wheat in the beer or if it's the hops or whatever the case is. I haven't been fully tested yet, but for me, whether I drink 2 beers or 10 beers, it's like the worst hangover, throwing up, whatever in my life the next day. So I can't do that no more. I have to stick. No, I don't have the issue with whiskey, gin, or tequila, just beer. But I wonder if my hearing problems are somehow tied in with that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Someone, please, again, aviation medicine expertise or any type of expertise involving hearing, please reach out to us, tell us, because we for sure want to learn about it and expand a little more on it. Right now,
that's wild.
That is wild, right? Craziness. Imagine what the stuff you learn. So what are some ways that can help you if you do have hearing loss already? Right. Oh, for one, there's definitely hearing aids, right? I mean, there's really no ands, ifs, or buts about it. If you have a hearing problem, chances are you're going to need hearing aids. Or if it's so bad, you would have to get like these implants put into the inner bones of your ear. And I think that's the tubes you were alluding to, MVP. Like they're like these little implants that kind of act as your ear to give you that same signal.
It's like a mini amplifier, like a magnetic amplifier that it gets surgically implanted behind your ear, and they work. I've seen them in action. They work very well. But yeah, that's a route to go to. I would probably do that over hearing aids, just because it's not a unit that I'm sticking into my ear and plugging in, and have to charge up or whatever else.
Right, and then certain jobs, like certain people on the flight line, you can't have those hearing aids on all the time, right? You would have to take them off, or depending on like the
Yeah, it could be considered FOD, right?
right. Unless like they have like these straps or some shit that where like in case they fall out, they don't like just fly into the intake of an engine or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's in some instances, right? Because in most organizations, you would get a medical pass on something like that,
Right.
but maybe not. You know, if you're working above the aircraft, so to speak, so things could fall in. It might be a big no-no. I don't know. But then it becomes a safety issue, right? So you're working on something, but you can't hear me giving commands or doing what else. So I turn something on, you get shocked. I move a flight control, you get your hands, arms, fingers pinched, whatever.
Right.
I don't know. Interesting.
That would be interesting. And again, another way is to do the preventative measures, which almost everybody ignores: the double hearing protection, the noise canceling equipment, if possible, where possible. Some companies that are aviation related do have these options. Like Bose has them. This other company, it's called Dowcom or Dowcom Tech. They make headsets specifically for aviation jobs. Or
yeah, we had ones that were tied in with our radios, so I could be under a 4-engine aircraft with the engines running at, you know, above 50% power, and I could stand there and have a conversation with a guy on the other side underneath the other 2 engines, and I could talk to him just like as you and I were talking now, and I could hear him just as I can hear you now, with 2 engines, turbine engines running over top of me.
Right. And if that option's available, or if you have to purchase yourself, definitely an option to look into. I know some of these noise canceling or these noise deafening devices have options where you can have it custom molded to your ear. Like some go as far in depth as to custom molding the inside of your ear. And that way it's a perfect fit. There's no muss or fuss about it. And it's going to give you the optimal protection wherever you need it. So those are options. I mean, and there's also this one earbud company that I've heard about. It's called IsoTunes. Never heard of it until when Coyote actually mentioned it to me. And these are OSHA approved earbuds, like Bluetooth earbuds that you can put in your ears, and it's rated for so many dB, and you can still hear things as you need it, almost like the noise canceling or noise deafening technology like we were just talking about. But they're relatively inexpensive, probably like $200 or something like that. I mean, it's not going to perform to the same grade as like, say, a $700 headset, but any and all protection where possible is a lot better than going deaf. we can attest to this.
Yeah, that's it can be as minimal as just the normal foamy earplugs, but something's better than nothing.
Yes, we can attest. Like, and you'll see some veterans on the line, both as line mechs or as former line mechs, and they'll kind of give you like this little, I guess, teasing nudge that, oh yeah, I can't hear a thing, or it's part of your breaking in period, I guess. But in all reality, like, if you can actually do what you can to protect something that you can never get back, by all means, please.
Yeah, do it. Nobody in management will fault you, nor your local safety department.
Right, because then the after effects, like we were just previously mentioning, it can lead into much greater things like loss of balance, vertigo, gut issues, as we just learned not too long ago, and all kinds of other stuff like just not being able to communicate effectively with people, because now you got to resort to sign language and all this, and you're considered disabled. So, I mean, let that depression motivate you enough to protect your hearing.
Yep, I agree.
Yes, sir. Final thoughts, MVP?
What? No. No. Yeah, I think we just said it. You know, protect your hearing. Whatever you got to do. Definitely spend the money. I know some of those hearing protection aids can be expensive, but spend the money now to save your hearing and doctor bills and hearing aids and all that later. Like, it's just, take it from me, from 6. It's worth the investment.
Well, absolutely, most definitely. Like, and again, like once you lose hearing is one of those things. Like once you lose it, you're never getting it back, no matter what kind of science is out there. I mean, shy of like recreating your ear or putting like some of this Star Trek stuff, like kind of like a mini speakerphone attached to your face. I mean, that's really the only thing I can think of. But once it's gone, it's gone. So do what you can to preserve what you have and save you in the long run.
That's it.
I'd like to take this time to thank all our listeners out there for listening, especially our patrons supporting the show, helping us make these episodes, maintain our gear. And with special thanks to Erica Lamont, Chris Hawkins, Ryan Freshour, Dan Schubert, Jenny Dignan, and the ladies over at the Dig Talk and Mimosas podcast. Thank you all so much for supporting us.
We appreciate it a lot.
Definitely.
Been a big help.
Big help. Huge help. And on that note, thanks everybody.
Bye.